we started on this journey. We started staying with me. I gave up my housing. I gave up my apartment. I was a full-time college student, double major at the time, child development and cosmetology. So I wasn't like clueless. I knew that education was going to get me somewhere, but the other things that I did in life, they didn't add up to me going to school. Right. You know, running the streets, selling drugs, ended up on Skid Row, sleeping literally on a tent, on the ground, being one of those people that the police come and wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning because you have to get your tent up because you can't keep your tent up all day like now you can in coronavirus. Right. No, you have to get up and check out of the streets of downtown at about 5 a.m. because that's when the shelters let out. And the reason that I got on the ground, let's talk about how I got on the ground. I first started off in the shelters. Okay. I was so angry. I didn't like myself. I was hurt that my mom had left and came to Texas with her wife, and because what I didn't understand then is she was doing what I eventually had to do, was part ways from people that I loved truly, but they were no good for me. Right. My mother was a recovering addict. Okay, she was a dual addictor, addicted to cocaine, addicted to women, addicted to narcotics, addicted to alcohol.
Okay. So we're just talking about an addictive personality because we were talking about the, as I stated before, I ran into a guy that said, you know, as a homeless person that he needed help. You know, not just handouts, not just, you know, this, that, or the other, but for you, when you obviously made another decision for yourself, where you were, wait a minute. Okay. Wait, girl, that thing big.
He came back for you.
Child.
He came back for you.
That's a vampire.
And he just got me right here, too.
I know, child. We're going to have to make sure we get his ass because this is the season. Anyway. But, you know, it's in the situation, in tackling the epidemic, the pandemic of homelessness. You know, those of us with big hearts, of course, we're out here. We want to, you know, give them a bag of food, give them something to eat, try to
help them. It's a Band-Aid.
It's just a Band-Aid.
It's a Band-Aid.
Because, because there's a lot. I'm not going to say food is not hard to get. So we're not going to even act like that there are people. If there's anyone going hungry at this point, then that's a personal decision.
Yes, it is.
Okay, because we were talking about that. We were talking about that being a personal decision.
It is.
We have to help those that want help and that are seeking help, but we also have to extend ourselves to those who may not be there yet.
Yeah.
Where does a person who may not be there yet, and as someone who has been in that place, how would a person in a ministry position come to you and tell you and show you, you know, some help that will help you change your mind? Or is that just the whole personal decision?
No. Somebody can touch you. Someone can affect you. Someone can, it's like having a light bulb effect. You know, someone can say something to you or do something for you that triggers something in your head that lets you know what, this person is doing this or saying this, and I can really relate to it, and I really understand. Like I was telling you, my pivotal choice was, I was during the day, a full-time college student, double major, and at night I sold drugs and slayed on the ground. These were choices that I made. I went to jail 20 times, over 20 times, in the city of Los Angeles, California, it's public record, for fighting, okay, that I instigated because I was very small, not as thick, fine as I am now, but but I was so little, I always got tested by other people on the block, so I always had to prove myself. So how I proved myself is, if you came to me in any kind of way, I just took flight, you know, I just took off on you. And you could see how strong I was, that I was quicker than you, I was faster than you, hands around you, and I wouldn't have any problems, right? So that led to me going to jail 20 times. That was a real hot girl summer, because that was about, in one summer I did that, right? It's the stupidest crap ever. So at the conclusion of that summer, somehow I managed to graduate.
Okay. But that's the thing.
I managed to graduate.
Because it's like those two totally opposite ends of the spectrum.
But I was raised like that.
Okay.
Because coming from Los Angeles, and I know a lot of people in LA are going to relate to this, you have to be able to turn it on and off. You have to be able to go into an environment.
Good evening and welcome to Let's Chat Dallas, this evening's edition. I'm so glad that you chose to join us this evening. And that was just an excerpt of an interview that I did with one of our sponsors here on Let's Chat Dallas, Yvette Menier. And she is, of course, the CEO and founder of Emerald Dreams Accessories. And she's one of our friends out there from the boot. And she was just giving us a little primer on her journey from homelessness. And now, of course, she is a business owner. And we are so proud of her and so proud to be in business with her. So this evening, I have three very special guests. My first guest is going to be Kimberly Caldwell, and she is the founder and CEO of Jules Comfort Keeper. And we are so happy to be celebrating Kimberly's second year in business. And if you can save the date, it's June 24th, 2021 from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. And it looks like her sponsor there is Oils for You. And so we are so very proud of Kimberly, and we're going to be talking to her. And then we also have Shayna Shaw. She is the CEO and founder of the Compound of Compassion and Infinite Compassion. And so we're going to be talking to her about those programs that she has going out in Aurora, Colorado. She is really changing the world around her, and her influence reaches as far here as Dallas. Of course, she's been a Dallas resident with us here before, and we're so glad to be in business with her as well. And then last but certainly not least, so we have Dr. Nick. Dr. Nick is, of course, oh my God, I bought some wonderful jewelry from Dr. Nick. Jeweled and Divine makes this awesome healing crystal jewelry, the best incense that I've ever experienced in my life. Okay. I mean, you put it in one room and it goes all over the house. But of course, Dr. Nick is also a counselor and spiritual healer as well. So we're going to bring everybody into the stream, and I'm just going to mute your mics. You guys probably have the ability to mute your own mics, but now, I didn't tell y'all this, and I do apologize, but if you have a headset or some earphones, that would make the experience a whole lot better for us, okay? And so what we are going to be talking about tonight, of course, Kimberly, I do want you to chime in first, because we are going to be talking about Jules Comfort Keeper. And because we're in the healing business, we're going to be talking about some of the things that are necessary for healing, whether it's physical, spiritual, healing poverty and transience, healing homelessness, mental issues. We're going to talk about the things that are necessary for that, as well as some of the barriers that might come to healing. And so we're going to go in and talk about, first of all, tell us about Jules Comfort Keeper and where you started and where you are right now in this second year of your business.
Well, I want to first say thank you for having me. It is always a privilege and an honor when you're asked to be a part of something greater than yourself. So thank you. Jules Comfort Keeper was birthed out of a place of hurt. Tired of seeing men come home with no hope and no resources, and just at a loss when they have been incarcerated. And not just men, but individuals across the board that come home, no hope, no resources, no housing, no family, a bus ticket, some the clothes on their back, and that's it. And come report the following Monday, or when you make it to town off your bus ride. And so I wanted to change the narrative of men coming home, or individuals coming home from prison with no hope, no resource, and nowhere to go, and no one to care. And I, June 24th of 2019, it was dropped in my spirit. And I became a 501c3 not long afterwards. And I've hit the ground running from that day to this one. We have recently incorporated a shopping boutique in our office where individuals can come and shop for interview clothing, casual clothing, toiletries, whatever they need. We offer transportation. We partner with individuals that can provide housing. And we have a ton of resources. I call us the A to Z for individuals that are being released from incarceration, because we know that that was a pandemic long before COVID-19.
Absolutely. So, what do you have a personal story that caused you to tackle this need as a ministry for yourself?
Absolutely. What I realized when Jules Comfort Keeper was in the birthing phase, so to speak, I realized that a lot of the individuals that I had come in contact that I had began to help were dealing with unresolved trauma. They needed to heal, and it was causing them to go back. So I wanted to be able to help with reducing recidivism. I have a brother who is now currently 18 years. He's been incarcerated for 18 years, and I wanted to change the back and forth for him. I did not want him to come home and go back because he did not deal with the trauma. So we connected with other counselors and other therapists, MHMR, and different places that can help them deal with the trauma. That's why I am so grateful that I was given the daunting task or the blessed task to be able to assist these individuals on their way. And so I would say that seeing family members hurt and wanting to just be an answer if for nobody else but them. And so that's where this is definitely where the passion comes from, not wanting to see individuals that I love personally, and then individuals across the board come home and have to deal with trauma and lack at the same time.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you for that. So I'm going to bring Shayna on. Hi, Shayna.
Hi.
I had the, unique opportunity just to be a fly on the wall, visiting with you on last week. And so, and it is a daunting task, like Kimberly said, but that is something that you do. And you've done it with great success there in the Aurora, California. Oh, excuse me, not California, Colorado. Because I wanted to go to California. But you have tackled this. And can you tell us about your program, specifically the recidivism program? Because I know that is something that you're looking to spread out in the Dallas area.
Sure. So I'm Shayna, and I want to also thank you for this opportunity to be able to be here with these other amazing women doing amazing things in terms of healing and community. The name of my organization is the Compound of Compassion. We were started in 2018 in Dallas, Texas. Because that's at the time where I was. And then I moved back home, which is Colorado. And so we also operate in Colorado as well. The part of my organization, there's a couple of different entities that the compound is fortunate enough to have access to. We have a women's wellness program. We have a veterans assistance program. We have Generation Drive-Through, which is our young adults. And then there's our halfway home entity. And that also taps into people who are second chance citizens in community who are re-entering into community. But mostly we primarily focus with the Halfway Home Project and building homes, places for them to have a place to call home through shipping containers. So we build them with recycled resources, shipping containers, and we, as a result, offer affordable housing to people who are just trying to get back into community and be made whole. So,
wow. And that's part of the whole healing process, because when you are dealing with someone, that's one thing. When I was talking with Yvette um, on Saturday about the need of reaching people who want the services, reaching people who know that they need the healing. But also, Dr. Nick, if you could chime in on this, how do you take a person that is so broken and in the place just coming out of trauma and make them feel safe? Where do they start to feel safe to where they can accept the services that these ladies are offering, to where they can, so that they won't go back? Because a lot of times people feel safer in their oppression. They feel safer in their depression. They feel safer within the trauma because they know that, you know.
Mm-hmm. I feel that the first thing that has to happen is that the person has to want it.
Mm.
You can't give a person into wanting something or wanting change. You can't bully them into wanting to change. It's all about them recognizing that shit. Oh, I'm sorry. Can we curse on this?
You can do whatever you want to do, whatever. You know, we don't have no rules.
Yeah, so you can't, they have to really want to change things in their own life. And because I always say that if you walk through the door, you know what I mean? If you walk through the door, then we can help you facilitate change. But the person has to walk through the door. It's just like with anything that I do, it's an open space. And I try to make that space as comfortable and energetically open, heart space open for people to come and want change. But they have to want it first. So, if they're in a space of wanting it, that's when you can go in and kind of help them to manipulate the spaces that they're in or the mindset that they're in.
Right. And so when I think of recidivism, I think of not just going back to prison, but going back to that life, going back to homelessness, going back to the situation that you just got out of. So how do you, even in those first stages, because that seems like the most critical time?
I don't really work with I don't work with homeless people. I don't work with people that are coming out of prison, but the state of mind
It's the same, yeah.
is the same.
Mm-hmm.
And so I work with people that a lot of times people want a light switch, and change doesn't happen like that. You know what I mean? It has to be a progressive thing, and people have to be willing to really stay in there, kind of stick in for that change.
Right.
But yes, the mindset itself has to change in order for you not to be back in a homeless situation or a prison situation, or just to go back to your same emotional state.
Right.
So it's kind of, on the physical end, yes, we're dealing with prison and homelessness, but on the mental and emotional end, it's sort of the same thing.
Right. Because one thing that I was listening to Yvette say was that, she was basically living a double life. And there was something about the transient life that was appealing to her. And I mean, do you find that people find that the transient life, the homelessness, the poverty, that might be a place of safety?
You're asking me, or
I'm asking whoever want to answer.
Oh, okay. I'll let one of y'all answer that deals with the homeless.
Mary Shana, you deal with more as far as people coming out of an actual homeless situation. Okay.
Well, we've been fortunate enough through the pandemic to actually feed 400 serve 400 meals a day, Monday through Friday, to our houseless neighbors and people who are experiencing homelessness. So one of the things that I guess it's a twofold thing. Yes, I think that it's definitely mental and emotional, but it's also economical, and it's a situation where people really don't have the means or the education to sustain themselves to be able to afford housing, especially here in Colorado since legalization. It's just skyrocketed, and so my experience with our houseless neighbors have been some people who are making a choice to do that because it's cheaper, and they could, buy a tent and go grab a shower somewhere. Like you said, there's always access to food because we were providing it. So that was just an easier way to be able to maneuver through life. But there are a significant amount of people who don't choose that lifestyle, and it's because of a number of different situations. A lot of LGBTQ&A friends out living in that situation because they've been shunned from family members, or just any kind of situation. There's so many different. I met people who had master's degrees that were living in tent cities. So and a lot of that was mental health. So there's a number of different reasons, but I think at the end of the day, it always comes back to economics and sustainability, and people being able to afford to have a safe place to call home. Until they have that, there really isn't. We're kind of working backwards, and we end up having frontline fatigue is what I call it, as community workers, because we're kind of working against the grain. Like it was said in your video that the food and stuff is available, but until you have a place that you can call home and feel safe, you can't really work on sobriety or emotional distress or any of the other things that people may be going through until that piece is solidified. And the way that you do that is you make it affordable for people to be able to afford to have a safe place to live. And until our communities, come together and recognize that it's really about equity, I think we're just kind of, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's my experience. So.
Right. Well, that's what I wanted to, to also kind of flesh out these different choices, because one thing that people need in those situations really are choices. I mean, if you don't give a person a choice, then it's almost like being back in prison, back on the street, just dealing with whatever it is that is available. So, Kimberly, in your ministry, and I call it a ministry, but in that, what choices are you giving the people that you serve that help them feel safe to latch on to your program, to collaborate, to dig in and find that trust? What type of choices do these men have coming out of prison and into your program?
Well, speaking from experience, because I've dealt with a personal, I where they are. I don't try to change who they are. I don't try to dictate or give them what I think is best for them, because what I think is best and what they think is best for their lives is vastly different. I meet them where they are, and I allow them to tell me what it is that they want, and allow me to assist them in that. Because what I've realized is they've been dictated to, most of these men, 20, 25 years. Some have gone from state prison to federal prison, back to state prison, and then home. And so I just try to offer myself to them and meet them where they are, not trying to dictate or tell them what I think is best or how they should do a thing. Now, giving them, if they ask for my advice, I do that. But a lot of times they have their minds made up. They just don't have the resources. They know exactly what it is to do. They just don't have the resources. So I walk with them through that. Um,
Mm-hmm.
the first thing that the one thing that I will say that I will always offer the individuals is counseling. Like we have to deal with it. In Black families especially, we don't deal with trauma. You know, if it happened in the house, it stays in the house. You know, what goes on in the house stays in the house. You don't talk about it. And I think that is so ridiculous. And I just wanted to and I will die this.
Excuse me.
Realize that you can deal with your trauma and it's okay. What happened to you in a moment doesn't define your entire life. You have to be okay, knowing that this thing happened to you and you can overcome it. Now it is a process. Sometimes we want something quick and it doesn't happen that way. You'll get to a place where you think you're good, and then you know it's cycles. But it is definitely a process, and I think Dr. Nick can attest to that none of this happens quickly. It's work, and you have to the individual has to put in the work.
Absolutely. And so that was I just want to kind of shift gears as far as your program is concerned and be very specific. Are the men that come into your program, are they recruited in some way while they're in prison? Are they prepared for what is expected of them? Because there's obviously going to be some expectations. So is this something that they are counseled on and prepared for when they come out and come into one of the homes?
Absolutely.
Oh, no. Okay.
They're being released. They know that they have paroled. They get a parole packet. They go before the parole board. They get a yay or a nay. They get directions on what to do when they come home. On Monday, you report, this is who you're going to see. This is where you're going. This is where you need to be. And so they are to me, they are at a disadvantage before they're even released from prison. They give them this basically a packet of resources and information where they need to report once they're released, once they're home, and that's it. There's rehabilitation. I talk to my brother 3 times a week, and he tells me all the time, if it were not for me, keep him in the know, he would be at a loss.
So the rehabilitation actually begins when they get to the program.
Absolutely, when they get home.
Okay. And Shayna, I know that you also have a program like that as well. Can you tell us a little bit about your, I just want to really focus in on the anti-recidivism piece, because with us speaking on Kimberly's second anniversary in your program, is there any sort of preparation for the participants, or do they just come out ready?
My program is kind of centered more towards youth and young adults. I just have I've enjoyed being with the elders and the babies, you know, just the best mixture for me. And so a lot of my programming caters to you know, that spectrum. So our program is called actually it's called Money My Business, because again, for me, in terms of recidivism, what I saw was that there just wasn't a place for second chance citizens to be able to be employed and be able to make the money that they needed to stay in compliance with their probation and parole, in terms of their monitoring system, their ankle monitors, their classes, whether it be addiction counseling or domestic violence counseling. If you can't find a job because you're a felon and no one will hire you, then you can't. My fuse just blew in my house. So this energy is crazy. So yeah, it's dark now, but so they can't be, they're not able to meet those requirements, which brings them into violation of probation or parole, and they're back into the system. And so what we did as an organization was create a program called Money My Business, and it's actual vocational training that is a 6-week course. And after 6 weeks of training, depending on which cohort they go through, it can be CDL, CNA, forklift, flaggership. There's intro to chef. There's a bunch of apprenticeships for welding and electricity, I think, is for people to be an electrician, and that apprenticeship, and the program is called It's Electric. And what we did was we just collaborated with a bunch of Black owned businesses that offer this training to our community, our people specifically, and agree to certify them in these different fields. So some of them do not allow, you to apply if you have a felony charge after so many years. And so we kind of guide them through those different career paths, but we do skills assessments with them. And our hope is that we change the trajectory and the path that they're going economically so that they can self-sustain themselves through employment and give back to the community. So how it works is we incentivize them to go through our program. We pay them to go through the program, and if they have delinquent charges in like domestic violence, court fees, tickets, any of that money goes to those fees first, and then the residual goes back to them. So we just kind of try to keep it communal so that it circulates. It's a buy-in from DOC. Again, my population is 18 through 26. So the youth and young adults, because to me, that's the forgotten group that nobody really deals with. And we are launching our first full school run June 7th. And we're just excited about how it's gonna, manifest and be an answer for a lot of the situations that the community faces.
Wow. So, I mean, collaboration is definitely a key to helping people become self-sufficient. And so with people like you, Dr. Nick, when you, in your practice, when you are helping a person heal and they come to you maybe with these mental issues that do keep them, in lack, in poverty, not in a good, not able to sustain a relationship. Are programs like these beneficial for people to go in, even if they're not dealing with, being an ex-felon? We need to tackle their mental issues and the things that keep them from moving forward, right?
Yes, absolutely. First, I just want to say that these programs, you ladies are doing an amazing job. Like, I see stuff that y'all post or whatever, but I haven't really, I don't really know exactly what it all entails. And it's just amazing, the work that y'all are doing.
Is.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so it's absolutely necessary for when someone comes into a counseling or a coaching format to find out. You're gonna always go back to kind of what your childhood. If you go through a long, like I have these like spot sessions where you can just come in and get a session about what's going on in your life right now. You know what I mean? Or if you want to go through a whole program or process, it always kind of goes back to like your childhood and your programming.
Yeah.
And so if you can tackle those things, that childhood programming, you can unravel a lot of the things that people deal with mentally. It just starts unraveling because we're programmed. And once everybody really accepts that, we can kind of get to the next level. But like you said, a lot of us don't. It's like Black people don't go to counseling, but yeah, we do. I got a counselor. My counselor got a counselor.
Okay.
It's like it's like we got to get it because I sometimes can't see what's going on with myself, but somebody else can see where I can see what's going on with someone else.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's very important that the initial thing is to figure out what people are going through or went through, what is their programming. And that's all that counselors really do, is kind of probe you to see what your programming is. They ask a lot of questions. That's how we do, is ask a lot of questions.
Right.
But those questions get you to think, because you're doing your own healing. I don't do any healing. I just facilitate it, just try to move it and guide it into a direction that, that is more comfortable for you.
Okay, absolutely. So with this, I mean, we also have to look at being, I guess, in a position of being trustworthy to in order for us to be able to reach people. And I kind of want to get into that because each one of us calls ourselves in ministry and probably have a background in the church and all that kind of thing. And then here we are, also products of that environment. So in ministering to people, what should we be focusing on in order to really get a person to the point where they will accept the healing that we're offering and accept this empowerment that comes from these organizations?
For me, I feel that being upfront and telling someone to really be free to be who they are, that their existence is not a mistake, that for them to understand the divinity that exists within them, and it makes them more comfortable to walk. Well, you start talking about church and then this, and so that's a whole thing. I know.
Well, I mean, express yourself, because I know.
I'm just saying, like, it makes you more comfortable to understand that there's a light. You have to. I explain to people that there's a light within them. And so when they can understand that they're more than just this person, this mortal human, just this human that's just walking around doing, making these choices, even bad choices, or making mistakes to get them into whatever position they're in. They open up a little bit. It's like you've given them a light, not just a light to look at, but opened up the light within them. So I like to explain, like, their divinity, and that they make. This goes into a long thing as far as them making choices to be here on the planet and all that. But just initially, them understanding that the light that is God, that is divinity, that is the universal mind, is the same light that's within them, and they can kind of take off and grow from there.
And I know I personally, in trying to help a person heal and trying to help them overcome, and have victory over the enemy of their souls without beating them over the head with traditions. I know that in Honey Child Ministry, we're definitely deeply rooted and grounded in the Word of God. But we're going to meet people who do not have that background, but we still want to be able to serve them in the way that Jesus would do, which would just be to serve and meet that need that they have, and show myself or my organization as a trustworthy place for healing, which is where that they would get their empowerment from. So, that's just one thing that I always ask people, especially those that I know have that background in traditional church, but also in moving beyond that so that we can reach more people.
Right.
Okay. Anybody want to chime in? What do you all do in well, I know know, people always, you know, religion and politics and some of those topics that people don't, you know, like to just really, really get into. But there has to be a place of hope.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time, I am a spiritual person. I'm
Right.
not
Yeah.
religious at all. I am spirit. And what I mean by that, I think too often, what we're looking for, we already possess. Um, and when I talk to gentlemen or ladies, I never try to throw the God, the Bible. I don't do that. I allow people to be free in what they believe, and hear them out, because a lot of times we have to unlearn what we've been taught. I know for me, some of the stuff that I've been taught, I'm like, Lord, if I'd have known earlier, I could have saved myself some heartache and some beating up on myself or some self-loathing. But a lot of times, we go off of what mama taught us or what grandma taught us, but really being one with self, like the I am. You're created in that image. You are the I am. And when I say that, I've been in debate with people because they're like, no, you're not God, and I am made in the image. So I am.
Yes, yes.
And when you know who you are, right? When you are divinely aligned with that, then I think life will begin to make more sense. But we grew up in the culture that we grew up in, it taught us wrong. And we grew up with that. And I think that is the result of the way a lot of people are, including myself. I am still unlearning years of lies.
Yeah.
and,
Well, I mean,
and places where you felt like you were on your way to hell. You're gonna bust hell wide open.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I
I know.
told them, I don't think there's a hell. I think we're already there. We're just
Right. I mean, we definitely, you know, some of our unresolved trauma and the things that we have to unlearn are things that had a direct effect on our spiritual growth as we were growing up. I know Dr. Nick mentioned about our childhood trauma, some of those things that we deal with, which include that poverty mentality, the transience, the homelessness, the mental issues. Of course, that comes from our childhood. So we definitely have to be willing to go a little deeper. And like I said, I definitely believe that that's what Jesus would do. Would be to meet a person where they are and have them to find that inner light. I know when I always have seen in the Bible, whenever he healed somebody, he asked them, do you want to be healed first? And so we know you do have to want the healing. Of course, you can't make a person want the healing, but this is, and after this, we're probably going to wrap up because we've been going on for a while. How do you, as individuals, as ministers, as healers, as counselors, what do you have to do within yourself to remain in the light? Because this work can be a little discouraging. Sometimes we can see the failure before we see the success. And sometimes in the success, we might still experience some of those things that we consider a failing thing. So how do you keep your own heart light on, to be a lead for somebody else? And we're just going to let that be the last question.
I mean, I'll jump in first. Sometimes the light goes off, honestly.
You're right.
But it's about being at a point where you constantly get up faster.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly getting up faster. And what I mean by that is that, like you were talking about, you get to some points where you fail and you don't feel like it, but those in betweens get shorter and shorter. For me, I use meditation to align myself, to use light to just kind of keep myself together, try to keep my chakras balanced. A lot of talking to myself, a lot of self-talk, a lot of self-encouragement, because it takes that to constantly, it's a constant thing. It's not something that just happens like one time, and you're there. It's a constant thing of keeping yourself in alignment. And if you can keep yourself in alignment and you allow your higher self, or the being that is bigger than you, to kind of flow through you, even at the times when you feel like you don't have the strength to do what it is that you need to be doing. That light will still flow through you.
I love that. What you said, the in between times. I know y'all probably didn't realize it, but this was my way of getting me some free therapy for the night. So I really appreciate it. Because I wrote that down, the in between times, those times that you do need somebody to help pick you up, or that inner light to kind of shine from within you. With Shayna, I know I've seen some of your ways and really enjoyed getting to know that. So can you chime in on this?
Sure. I think for me, I too feel like I am the image and likeness. I am the flesh of the spirit of who God has commanded us to be to one another and to self. And so I take it very seriously to first be able to connect with Him before being able to give anything of myself to anyone else. It's the putting my oxygen mask on first before assisting someone else. So I too go to therapy often. With Dr. Nick, like, let's just be transparent. I come at her with some real crazy things, and I know she probably looks at me sometimes like, Lord, help this child. But it's the place where I get to just kind of unload and get it off of me. At the same time, what I do is therapy for me as well. I don't have a plan B. In my still moments, when I am able to hear the voice of God within myself, I'm given instruction, and it's in that movement of from those instructions that I find my healing. The compound of compassion is strictly exist because pain met purpose and it collided. And so as a result, like at my lowest place ever in life that I can ever even think of, the compound of compassion was born. And it was born because I wanted to create a space of healing where people could come and get that holistically, whatever that looked like for them. It wasn't for a church or a mosque or a mission to design that. It's for them to say, this is what I need to work through, my ailments and my addiction and my anger and my hurt and my grief and my pain. And we just want to provide that space to do it and do it safely. So my house has literally become that sanctuary. I was given this house that has a live tree in the middle of it, and so from that tree is my altar where I give homage and praise to my ancestors for allowing me to stand on their shoulders. I have a space in there where I thank Christ Almighty, Jesus, my Lord and Savior. My Bible is there because sometimes I just need, some Holy Spirit and some speaking in tongues. There's a place for everybody to be able to do whatever they need to connect to self and heal. And whatever that needs to look like for that individual, it's not for me to decide. I just want to create that safe place for them to be able to do it. And so I hope that's what you experienced when you were in my home, because that's what I wanted to be and manifest. And from that, there will be nations of compounds where people can come and see that butterfly and know that they can go there and they can get what they need. So
that is so wonderful. I'm telling you, where your pain met your purpose, that's profound for me, because it's through that pain that you can find your purpose, that you can not only heal yourself, but also offer that healing for others. I really do appreciate that. And Kimberly, we're going to end with you because we are definitely wanting to help you with celebrating 2 years out here doing this work. And tell us a little bit about this, the event that you're having, so that we can get some knowledge on that.
Okay. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity. But Jewel's Comfort Keeper. The word jewel for me is my grandmother's name, but when I thought about the name in its totality, I think we're all jewels, and we all need to be comforted, and we all need to be kept.
Mm-hmm.
And I have always been a giver. That's just my heart. I don't know, I think it's a Sagittarius in me. But I just I love people. I just love people. And you've known me for years, so you can attest to just that place in me. But this event, I thought about it and I was like, I want to bring police officers and I want to bring probation officers, and I want the community to see that we're not all mad at each other. Like we can get along, and that we can dine together, you know? And so I'm just we'll do some dinner. We'll have some speakers. There'll be a live DJ. We'll do, photography. We're going to make it an event that, I want to give back, but I want these men and the women that come that have been incarcerated to know that we love them. There's still a space in the earth for them. They still have a lot of work to do, and that we are here for them, and that they see both sides working together. And so when I thought of this event, it's almost like a family reunion in my mind, right? Because we all need somebody. One is too small of a number to accomplish great things. And so I just believe in connecting with other people that are doing great things and walking out their purpose, because coming behind this powerhouse, you have me last, and coming behind purpose, pain meeting purpose. And I thank you for saying that, because I'm in a documentary. It's called The Daddy Project.
You say that all the time too.
I'm in a documentary called The Daddy Project, and
yes.
when you're finally able to tell your truth unapologetically, because I used to hide names when I told my story, trying to protect those around me. And I learned quickly that I didn't have to do that anymore. That I did not have to make everybody else around me. Sorry, guys. I didn't have to protect everybody else while I was dying, right? And so when I was able to tell my truth unapologetically, but just live in who I am and not have to hide behind that. And I worked with Dr. Nick a little bit, and one thing she said to me years ago was just to be who you are, and screw the naysayers, and that has stuck with me, right? And so I'm like, fuck y'all. This is my truth, I love God and I'll cuss you out. This is my truth, So Dr. Nick, I thank you for the work that you do. You are an amazing healer. You are a wonderful person. You are one of the most consistent people I know. So I thank you for that. And Miss what is it? Compound for compassion, or what is it? Tell me, so I don't get it wrong.
It's compound of compassion. Yes.
Compound of compassion. Let me tell you, you are an amazing woman, and your gift is beautiful. Thank you for sharing, because you just confirm what you do confirms that I'm in the vein of where I'm supposed to be, and that greater shall come after this. And so thank you so much.
Thank you.
This last hour has been amazing. I think I'm like Sharita now, maybe this is my free therapy, so I appreciate that.
Absolutely. Well, y'all, I definitely want to thank each and every one of y'all. This was definitely divinely ordered. I didn't even know what I was doing. I was like, give me some people, and God gave me y'all, and y'all showed up in a really great way, and I really do appreciate it. My expectations have definitely been met. One thing, I'm gonna wrap everything up, and so we've hit on everything, but I do want to go ahead and bring attention to the stickball tournament that is going to be in Fort Worth on June the 12th from 10 to 6. It is free. And I did put something on my page about this event. It is being hosted by the runconference.org, and this is a conference that is for empowering women. That is also going to come up, and we're going to have a conversation with Dr. Cassandra Cassandra on next week, and she's going to tell us all about the stickball tournament. There's also going to be some, I believe, a car show, cheerleaders, battle of the band, a step show. I'm telling you, this sounds okay. I've not been to a step show probably since college, so I am, Dr. Cassandra Bradford of Run Women's Conference is going to be doing that out at Sycamore Park. So if you're in Fort Worth, then go ahead and check that out. It sounds like a whole lot of fun, and I'm going to do my best to be there. So I just wanted to bring that to you all's attention, and stay tuned next week because we're going to be talking to Dr. Cassandra on the show. So guys,
Sheree, if I can have
go ahead.
Have 2 seconds real quick. I did not, because of our second anniversary, we're raising $2,222.
Yes, I'm sorry, I forgot that. So
I know everybody is unable to, maybe not being able to donate monetary wise, but we are trying to raise $2,222. We're on Cash App as the $ Jules Comfort Keeper. You can donate Venmo. It's JCK1915. PayPal. You can donate on our website, which is www.julescomfortkeeper.us. And also, anyone that has gently or new clothes for male or female, toiletries, any of that, I will drive. I don't care how far I have to go, because I believe in reaching the people that in which I serve, in the population in which I serve. And so, again, you can donate by Cash App, by Venmo.
What's the Venmo again?
The Venmo is JCK1915.
All right.
And our goal is $2,222. And we're going to have some awesome speakers there. There's going to be a gentleman there, Reggie. He's the CEO of Father Figure. The executive director for the Daddy Project will be speaking. We'll have some probation officers that will be speaking, some individuals that will be telling their stories. So it's going to be a great event. Remove me out of it is really a God thing. And so I look forward to this event, and I hope everybody that's listening can come out, get you a morsel, shake my hand, and let's love on each other. Again, it's going to be at 3821 East Loop 820 South in Fort Worth. It's at Oils for Us. It's going to be from 6 to 9. And so, yeah, that's my spiel on that. And I thank you so much, Let's Chat Dallas, for having me on tonight.
Well, I'll have you on at any time. So thank you guys. Thank you so much. This has been a really great show, and I really do appreciate you guys' support, and you all have my support. And of course, I reach out to each one of you anytime I can to get my mind right, okay? All right. We'll talk to you guys later. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.